While it might seem to be an objectively glorious or romantic notion, performing live music can be hard work, and heading out on a tour is part of the job description for successful performers. Rock stars of every level are expected to hit the road for several weeks of shows. Those concerts earn a lot of revenue, drive record sales and streaming numbers, and show fans that their favorite artists really care about them. All from doing what musicians purportedly love to do in the first place: perform their art in front of others. This is iconic rock star tours that got canceled. Aerosmith retired because its lead singer injured himself. Since its formation in Boston in the early 1970s, Aerosmith sold 150 million albums and released classic rock staples like Dream On, Sweet Emotion, Janie's Got a Gun, and Cryin, all built on the guitar of Joe Perry and the quirky stage presence of lead singer Steven Tyler. But after more than 50 years as an entity, Aerosmith announced that the end was near. In May 2023, the band shared details about its final concert tour, a collection of 40 shows across North America to take place starting in early September and conclude with some dates in January 2024. 3 concerts into the Peace Out tour, Aerosmith announced some necessary reschedulings. Tyler had been experiencing vocal issues, and after initially just postponing 6 dates, the singer received a more complete and dire diagnosis, leading Aerosmith to temporarily call off its entire remaining slate of shows. Tyler had damaged his vocal cords and also endured a fracture in his larynx. Tyler said in a band statement, "I am heartbroken to not be out there with Aerosmith. I promise we will be back as soon as we can." The 3 dozen-plus concerts were never rescheduled. Tyler was still recovering from his substantial vocal injuries about a year later, in August 2024, leading Aerosmith to call off the tour and call it a day as a band. Jane's Addiction broke up and quit touring after an onstage fight. Throughout its lengthy history, the members of Jane's Addiction have experienced a lot of internal tension that turned public. The group decided to split up after a grueling 13-month tour in support of 1990's Ritual de lo Habitual, but only after headlining Lollapalooza in 1991. On the first night of that tour, singer Perry Farrell and guitarist Dave Navarro got into a fight, and the latter tossed his guitars into the crowd, ending the concert early. The band reunited occasionally over the years, most recently mounting a 2024 tour. At the Boston stop, Farrell and Navarro engaged in another onstage physical altercation. Farrell, apparently angered by technical errors and sick with a sore throat and tinnitus which made singing difficult, shoved and screamed at Navarro as he played the song Ocean Size. Navarro tried to keep his distance, but then Farrell tried to go in for a punch. Bassist Eric Avery stepped in to force Farrell away while Navarro walked off the stage. That exit ended the song, show and tour. 15 scheduled concerts wouldn't happen due to a continuing pattern of behavior and the mental health difficulties of our singer Perry Farrell. We have come to the conclusion that we have no choice but to discontinue the current US tour, 3/4 of Jane's Addiction said in a statement on Instagram. Foo Fighters fell into disarray when its drummer died mid-tour. Foo Fighters were supposed to spend most of 2022 on tour playing stadiums and festivals all over the world to celebrate its 27th anniversary as a band and its induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The jaunt began in earnest with shows in Mexico, Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil. On March 2022, Foo Fighters was booked as a headliner for the festival Estéreo Picnic in Bogotá, Colombia, and then an appearance on the Grammy Awards and a 2-month respite. On the day of the Bogotá show, drummer Taylor Hawkins was found dead in his hotel room. The Foo Fighters family is devastated by the tragic and untimely loss of our beloved Taylor Hawkins. His musical spirit and infectious laughter will live on with all of us forever, the band said in a statement on X. An initial toxicology report from the Attorney General of Colombia's office cited 10 drugs in Hawkins' system at the time of his death, ranging from prescription antidepressants to opioids. 4 days after the death of its 50-year-old drummer, Foo Fighters announced that it would immediately end its 2022 tour. The band remained on a hiatus until May 2023, when it regrouped with new drummer Josh Freese. The Black Keys couldn't sell enough tickets. In the late 2000s and into the 2010s, the groovy, buzzy blues rock of the Black Keys was everywhere. Just two guys, Dan Auerbach and Patrick Carney, made a lot of noise, and while 4 straight albums earned gold or multi-platinum awards from the RIAA, their songs like Lonely Boy, Gold on the Ceiling, and Fever scaled the alternative rock chart and soundtracked dozens of commercials, movies, and TV shows. As successful as they seemed, the Black Keys didn't engender a lot of demand as a live band. It unveiled in April 2024 its dates for the year. Following a span of shows in Western Europe, the duo would head back to the US for its 2-month international players leg. It was booked to play professional basketball-size arenas in cities such as Dallas, Houston, and Los Angeles. But the whole thing was canceled in late May due to extremely poor ticket sales. Technically, the Black Keys postponed the shows, claiming it would work to reschedule the dates in much smaller venues to provide an exciting, intimate experience for both fans and the band. Days after the tour ended before it could begin, the Black Keys fired its management team. A death in the band prevented Led Zeppelin from touring in 1980. Led Zeppelin was one of the biggest bands of the 1970s. Electric, blues-based heavy metal guitar licks from Jimmy Page and the soaring vocals of frontman Robert Plant helped the band pack arenas year after year and release some of the best-selling albums of all time. Led Zeppelin planned to greet the 80s with the same passion it had executed in the 1970s. On September 1980, the group's label Swan Song issued a press release listing the 19 tour dates it would play in the United States and Canada on its The 1980s Part 1 tour. Among the most tragic stories about Led Zeppelin, the 1980 death of drummer John Bonham, who died while asleep after a day of heavy drinking. His death occurred 2 weeks after Led Zeppelin revealed its tour dates and 3 weeks before the tour was set to get underway in Montreal. The surviving members of Led Zeppelin immediately canceled all engagements and months later broke up entirely. Ian Curtis's death came just before Joy Division's first American tour. Forming in Manchester, England in 1976, Joy Division defined the post-punk sound. Songs about pain, ennui, and disaffection, like Transmission, She's Lost Control, and Love Will Tear Us Apart, were simply recorded and sounded sparse and haunting to young Britons, particularly when performed in a hypnotic near drone by frontman Ian Curtis. With a tight live sound and Curtis's free-form dancing, Joy Division built up a presence and reputation in the UK, tirelessly playing dozens of club shows between 1977 and 1980. By that point, the group had released 2 studio albums, and its popularity was such that a Joy Division tour of the US was justified. The band's team had prepared an itinerary that would have the musicians leave England on May 1980, and on May 21st play the first of 3 nights at Harrah's, a venue in New York City, then hit clubs in Toronto, Chicago, Madison, Minneapolis, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, before boarding a flight back to England on June 10. 1 May 1980, one day before Joy Division was supposed to fly to the US, Curtis's body was found in his home. The singer, who'd long dealt with depression, died by suicide at the age of 23. The American tour didn't happen, and later that year, the surviving members of Joy Division formed a new band, the synth-pop outfit New Order.